In July of 2023, the Screen Actors Guild and American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, SAG-AFTRA, and the Writers Guild Association, WGA, went on strike against the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, or the AMPTP. While this is certainly not the first time this has occurred in Hollywood's history, today I want to discuss the most recent strike and what caused it. The strike was resolved on November 9th, 2023, wherein the major demands of union members were responded to and negotiated. However, in this video, I will mostly be discussing the circumstances that initiated and occurred during the strike, in order to shed light on the prevalent issues that plague the entertainment industry. The AMPTP, or the Organization of Producers, has a 3-year contract with SAG-AFTRA and WGA in order to acquire employment from both unions. At the end of each 3-year term, AMPTP and SAG-AFTRA are required to meet to negotiate an updated contract of employment. However, in July of 2023, both organizations were unable to reach an agreement of a new contract. Leaders of the SAG-AFTRA produced an official statement of expectations they had of the producers, and refused to return back to work until their needs were met. The decision to initiate a union-wide strike was deliberated by vote, wherein 98% of SAG members agreed. While there are many items requested of producers, the main pushes of the strike included new salary structures, better work environments, and protection from exploitation by AI technology. There are various cases of mistreatment, exploitation, and undercuts amid actors of both high and low notoriety, as more than 87% of SAG-AFTRA members receive medium to minimum wage. Most notably of the items in the SAG strike demands was the renegotiation of salary structures. While actors and writers may receive a baseline compensation for their work they did writing and producing a project, the heavier stream of income comes from residuals. Residuals are guaranteed royalties actors receive when their past projects are reused or rerun across networks. Both SAG-AFTRA and WGA have predetermined percentages required to be paid to actors from the total profit made by the airing network. While this has never been a huge issue for cable companies, streaming networks have a different policy. On cable, there is a predetermined schedule of airing time for content, guaranteeing that writers and actors will be fairly compensated for their productions. Streaming services, however, do not have a predetermined schedule of airing, as subscribers simply opt for which pieces of content to engage with. With the recent rise of streaming, especially after the pandemic, actors have begun to rely more heavily on streaming residuals, which consequently become less substantial. The disparity between cable networks and streaming services is so vast, and it has been proven that even some of the most streamed shows and movies pay less and less for their workers. For example, one of Netflix's most watched shows of all time is Stranger Things. However, actress Karen Ceesay, who played Lucas's mother on the series, received her first residual check from the show of $325. To put this in perspective, residual checks are often issued 1 to 6 months apart, depending on the service. Many members of the production staff feel as though the gap between their project's total earnings and the amount of compensation they received is unjust. Furthermore, the threshold of income for SAG members to receive benefits is just over $26,000 annually. According to statistics for 2023, at least 87% of members made less than $26,000, leaving them ineligible for health insurance and other union benefits. To attack this issue, SAG-AFTRA has requested that producers provide them with the exact analytics of each service's project performance. so that way they can estimate the correct amount of income each employee should receive. However, most streaming services such as Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, and others will not disclose the exact amount they make on each project for legal reasons. The suggestion to negotiate and reach a compromise on this issue was brought up in the strike statement and is one of the leading factors in the initiation of the movement. In addition to the unfair wages instituted by the AMPTP onto actors and writers, many SAG members feel disconnected and far below the attention and respect of their higher-ups. Unfortunately, workplace toxicity is quite common on sets all across the industry. Driven by corporate greed and box office success, producers, directors, and executives feel entitled to push their employees down. Sexism, racism, classism, and pedophilia are all rampant throughout Hollywood. Additionally, the evident disparity between the opinions of SAG members and producers has widened the gap between them. Actors and writers feel ignored, belittled, and disrespected by their higher-ups from the way they are addressing their requests. People were especially aggravated when an anonymous executive said to the press, "The endgame is to allow things to drag on until union members start to lose their apartments and their houses." The disgust and betrayal felt among the strikers stems from the obvious greed and selfishness we are seeing amongst executives. While they continue to amass wealth, their employees can barely afford health insurance and work multiple jobs just to support themselves. One further aspect of the 2023 contract was proposed on behalf of the producers of the AMPTP. During negotiations, the organization introduced a new cutting-edge opportunity for actors amidst the recent developments of artificial intelligence. In this new method of production, actors would be able to be scanned digitally by new technology and saved to a database forever accessible by producers. This way, they can use the actors' image and likenesses in future films via AI technology instead of recruiting them for real physical labor. The caveat is, however, that actors would only be compensated for the time they were scanned and processed, not their artificial appearances in future films. Consequently, this raised many concerns and anger amongst actors of the union, as they rightfully felt that the AMPTP was attempting to utilize shortcuts to spend less and ruin their careers. Many of us consider actors and actresses to be mythical superhumans that exist on higher planes than the rest of us. Whenever Hollywood is mentioned, we tend to think of big names like Johnny Depp, Meryl Streep, Will Smith, or Sandra Bullock. However, the highest earning and most well-known performers are merely 1% of the acting population. The majority of actors and writers affected by the 2023 SAG-AFTRA Strike earned minimum wage, work long and grueling hours, and work multiple jobs. While it is true that creative careers can be ambitious, far-reaching, and unattainable for many, they play an important role in our society, no pun intended. Film itself is a beautiful, unique, and engaging medium of artistic expression that shares experiences, histories, and perspectives with the masses. The need for actors and writers does not end at big screen productions, but they are used in many facets of our daily lives. Consider commercials, advertisements, radio shows, voiceovers, instructional content, audiobooks, and more. Like everyone else who works for a large corporation, those who bring everything together and make the magic happen deserve fair compensation and treatment.